I work a lot when I'm working with clients. I work with assumptions, and we look for untrue limiting assumptions that people might be holding that are holding them back. And again, when I'm working with financial planners, we look at how to weave that into work with clients. But I wonder, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. I wonder what planners might be assuming that stops them being clear and concise about their fees and causes them to fluff that fee discussion. Is that something that you...
Yeah, I think the absolute root cause of it is not quite being 100% convinced yourself that you're really good value for what you do. Now, I've heard so much unhelpful advice on this, like people, bolshy types, tell you need to just be confident or this or that. What a load of nonsense, right? If I was confident, I wouldn't have any problem explaining the damn fee, right? So I always use the example, if someone rings me up tomorrow and says, Brett, let's come and run the marathon next week, I have to say, no, I haven't run for 5 years. I've done no training. And they go, Brett, just be confident. No, dude, my knees will be broken by kilometer 10, right? It's just not going to work. If I'm going to do that, I've got to do the miles, I've got to do the training, I've got to do the work. And if I do that for probably a year or a year and a half, maybe 2 years in my case, maybe I can be on the line, still nervous, but despite the nerves, an inner confidence, thinking I've done the work, right? I don't know if I'm going to hit my time, but I know I'm going to go okay, right? I've done the work, I'm feeling good. And I think it's the same with this. You've got to do the work away from the meeting room with clients, okay, to be able to go in and have some confidence that you can take the client on that journey skillfully, get them engaged. And I think doing the work is the easy bit. But again, I mean, I'll give you another example. There's another tool we teach called the value-added checklist, where at review time, we're asking advisors to go through and think, where did I add value to the client in cash? Now, I get a lot of pushback on this, all right? I remember doing some work with Emery Little. There was a little bit of pushback on this because good advisors who are like into life planning, financial planning, and skillful are going, mate, that is not the value we add, right? And I get it. It's not. The value we add is the peace of mind and letting people really, really live their lives free of worry and stuff like that. But doing the value-added checklist is a great exercise for advisors to do to see how much value in cash they add, like tax wins, pension wins, investment cost savings, you name it. It just is off the scale. And once you've done that with a bunch of your client files, you'll recognize that if I charge a premium price, I'm still amazing value, right? If I'm a proper financial planner. And I think it's these sort of things you've got to work through and do. And it still takes years. You can still see it 20 times and go, I still don't quite believe it, but it's moving you along that curve. And I think when you can't explain the fee thing with a level of confidence, it doesn't mean you still won't be nervous. I still get nervous pitching my fees to people after all this time. Yep. But you can still have that inner confidence thinking, no, I know this is good value. And that's what I think the work away from the coalface gives you.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think I've definitely witnessed quite a lot of resistance to that value-added checklist. And I guess what I see is that all of the intangible value that financial planners absolutely add, and that, the peace of mind of working with financial planning firms and all of that, it sits on top actually. And so if you can really think about the pounds and pence savings, or that you've saved the client, and then think about all the intangibles on top, then maybe that is a big confidence builder. But I do wonder. So I'm now this year, the last few years, sort of doing my own thing, and this year particularly, as I've really stepped it up, I'm having to do this for the first time. I'm having to kind of have these sorts of fee discussions. And one of the things that really grounds me in that is a lot of this work. So my coaching rates, for example, I've had coaching myself, and I know the value of it. I know the value for myself. This might be wrong, but I don't know of many financial planners that are paying a financial planner themselves.
I know none. So,
Right.
and I always ask that question. And again, just for a laugh, say shame on you all, right, for doing that. But I've encouraged people to go and do that for a bunch of reasons. One, doctors are not allowed to give advice to their own family. There's a reason for that. And they're not allowed to medicate themselves. There's a reason for that. And financial planners should be exactly the same. There's no way you should be doing your own financial planning with all the love in the world. But the other benefit, besides just that it's probably good practice, go and spend some of your own hard-earned and you will feel what it feels like to be a client. I got to be honest, when I'm cutting the check for a couple of grand to my advisor for the advice, it hurts a little bit. I'm going, please God, let this be valuable, right? Because that's how vulnerable you are when you're in that situation. You need to experience that as an advisor, because you've never experienced that, maybe in other areas, but not in financial planning. But also, let's say it costs you a couple of grand to get advice. Whether you go ahead with that advice or you end up doing it yourself is fine. I'm not saying you have to necessarily go all the way with that, but that 2 grand or whatever it costs you to get the advice will be the best market research you've ever done. Now, you don't have to go back and tell the advisor all the things you hated about their process, but you can experience that and go, oh, yeah, that's no good. We do that. I'm going to, it's just the cheapest market research you could do. Right? How else are you going to find out that information? I reckon a few grand is a bargain for that, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.